Hello, avid Cinnamon Toast Crunch Eater here, bringing you another Dota 2 video with my partner, French Toast Crunch Eater.
Whoa.
How's it going?
Don't misrepresent me like that. I am a Reese's Pieces guy through and through.
That's like eating candy for breakfast, man.
Yeah.
And you know what else is like eating candy? Watching one of Dota Alchemy's patented tier lists. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be talking about the position 4 heroes, which ones are the best in the patch. There was just a patch release, 7.24b. Yeah, let's get into it.
Skillshare is an amazing and affordable learning platform where anyone can explore and improve at a wide variety of skills and crafts. Joining the Skillshare community gives you access to hundreds of amazing video guides by experts in fields like art, design, business, and so many more. I've personally used the platform to learn a lot more about the business side of YouTube and improve my video editing skills. The first 500 people who click the link in the description below will get 2 free months of Skillshare Premium and access to everything the community has to offer. You'll also support Dota Alchemy directly by doing this. Plus, you might just discover your next passion. I don't know about this thumbnail. I wish I knew how to make better ones for YouTube so people would click on our stuff. Wow, that was really insightful. Perfect.
Okay, S tier. So we have Nyx Assassin and we also have RUBICK. With Nyx Assassin, I think that this hero did get nerfed in 7.24 to some degree, but you still have this break associated with the ultimate ability. You still have a pure damage ultimate. You still have more stun duration on the Impale than you had before. And to be honest, Donnie and I recorded a video for 4-role tier list yesterday, and then the patch came out, and in that video we were talking about how even without Meteor Hammer, Nyx Assassin in his current state is still broken. The fact that he has so much disable with the Carapace, the fact that the talent gives you a ton of AoE disable, the fact that you have this pure damage, the fact that you have this break and this scouting, like the hero is broken regardless of the Meteor Hammer, which now there's what, a 0.1 second window where you could get out of the Meteor Hammer if he does combo it. So yes, that is a nerf, but the hero was so broken that I still think that it's pretty strong.
Yeah, I definitely don't even think that he was like an every game is a Meteor Hammer game hero. I thought that people kind of defaulted to that because it does a lot of stuff that you want on Nyx Assassin, but you could also just get away going like Vessel or Yules or Force Staff or Blink.
Yeah.
Because all of his skills are so good. And it's like he's a hard counter to Snapfire. He's a hard counter to a lot of the popular mobile heroes that have AoE damage. He owns heroes like OD, and he is just the quintessential example of a hero that was trash for months or years and then was incrementally buffed for like probably an entire year and is now way over buffed in terms of just having extra stuff that he didn't have before.
Right. So still a fantastic hero. Speaking of still fantastic, RUBICK. This hero was, if you asked me a week ago, I would put RUBICK possibly on A tier. For a long time, he's been A tier. Just the fact that this Arcane Supremacy gives you the enemy team's spells, except better, is something that is going to be insane regardless of how much they nerf this hero, in my opinion. He is pretty useful in the laning stage. People have figured out how to play him. They're nuking ranged creeps. They're using him to set up for other heroes and gank, and they're cutting waves with boots. People are finding ways to lane with this hero where perhaps his weak to some degree laning is not so weak anymore. And then on top of that, you have this completely ludicrous ability to just reflect the enemy team's spells onto them, but better in the late game. And that, of course, that's going to be nuts. And with Nyx Assassin getting nerfed in 7.24b, I think that puts RUBICK at A tier for sure, or sorry, S tier for sure instead of A tier.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about RUBICK, right, is that you take 1 point of Arcane Supremacy and you just automatically get 2 free Kayas plus a Spell Prism, or not a Spell Prism, whatever the Timeless Relic. Like, you literally get a Timeless Relic, which is a tier 4 item for free. That, like, what? You know?
Yep.
how is
nuts.
that a level 1 ability that you, or like a single point ability that you can take? I also completely agree. I think he's a deceptively strong laner because Fade Bolt makes it really easy to win trades.
Damage reduction.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree with that.
So like I see pro players, they come to the lane, they wait until range creep gets low, they Fade Bolt the range creep, and then they just like go ham trading with the other lane because suddenly they're down 40 damage on the two heroes combined.
Right. Definitely something people weren't using when RUBICK first was introduced into the game, and for a while after, people weren't really considering that as a big factor, but it is.
Right.
Damage reduction is huge, and we all know that now.
Yep.
So next we have the A tier. We have Earth Spirit, Puck, Earthshaker, Winter Wyvern, and CLOCKWERK. One of my favorite heroes. So we'll start with Earth Spirit. My opinion on this hero, and tell me if you agree or disagree. I thought that this hero was going to be strong in 7.23 just because there was so much fighting that was happening, and this hero is a brawler. He loves to get kills. He loves to be active. As soon as the game starts, he's one of the best roamers in the game, and roaming is back to a huge degree.
Yeah, super.
But he straight up did not have the stones to keep fighting as much as people wanted to in games, as we see the coordinator is getting updated. But now the Stone Remnant has a 25-second recharge time instead of a 30-second recharge time with 7 max charges. So it feels when you play this hero that you actually have the ability to contribute all the time, as opposed to you have to wait a couple of minutes to fight. And I mean, a couple of minutes, that's a big deal in Dota. Like heroes who have long cooldown ultimates, that's one of the big issues with them, is that it's too long, and the enemy team can take Roshan, they can push high ground, and that's the same problem that Earth Spirit had, except in a kind of weird way with the Stone Remnants.
Yeah, I mean, the buff that he got in 724 basically gave him a 35-second cooldown reduction, like on his most important piece of the hero, which is the Remnants. And I think that we can both agree that Earth Spirit is in A tier if you are an Earth Spirit player. If you are not an Earth Spirit player, practice it a bunch before you take it into ranked games, because this hero is very, very skill-based. We're kind of basing this ranking off of people like Crit, like the GHs and Yapsters who are starting to play it in ranked pubs, and potentially we'll probably even start to see this at the major and minor. But these are like top tier Earth Spirit players, and they make it look amazing. So if you can get even to like half where they are, you can probably still win some games with this hero.
One thing I do want to say finally about this hero is the 300 rolling boulder distance may not look like a lot, but it's actually doubled by the going through a remnant. So it's 600 boulder distance, which is absolutely insane. Oh god, isn't all letting us click back? Okay, thank God. So it's a pretty ridiculous range on that ability, and that was a change they took away. I believe it was either a gold talent or an XP talent.
Yeah.
And they gave him that one. And a lot of the ones that they replaced for other heroes, to be honest, the new talents were garbage. But for Earth Spirit, it's very good.
Yep.
Puck. God, this is one of my current favorite heroes. I really just feel like Puck has an insane amount of disable. I feel like that's the big reason why Puck is so strong. You dream coil somebody, and then you follow up with the level 4 silence. I don't see how you survive that.
Yeah.
You need BKB, but also Puck can get an Aghanim Scepter, and then the BKB doesn't do anything.
Now, the Waning Rift was nerfed in terms of its cast range pretty heavily, and it also stopped allowing you to blink out of roots, which was completely busted that you could do that. But it's still good because of what the hero provides, right? As a 4, it gives you a strong right-clicking hero that's extremely hard to kill. It
clear waves,
can rotate to pick up bounties, power runes, outposts very easily in the early game, can dive towers very easily in the early game, clear waves like you said, and presents a 4 that once you hit the power spike of 6, just basically gives you an auto kill. And that's something that's really, really nice to have on a position 4 who wants to be moving around.
On like a 70-second cooldown too. That is the most insane thing about Puck.
Yeah.
Is the cooldown of this Dream Coil and how powerful it is. Also, with the cast range talent, maybe this is just the bias of me being a Puck spammer, but I believe that with the cast range talent, the nerf to the Waning Rift is not as big of a deal as people might think. just because the cast range talent is what everybody was opting to build anyway after the nerfs to the damage talent. And the phase shift attack being added to level 15. I think the cast range talent was the way to go, and it's still the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, you can see cast range is trending much higher now, and it has a positive win rate. So that's, I still am seeing people go for right-click puck, and maybe one every 100 games. Is that correct? But
yeah, I agree.
Especially as a 4, you probably want to go cast range.
I think it's pretty bad. EARTHSHAKER, you're a big fan of this hero.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't play it a lot because it gives me anxiety. Just like having to rely on me to hit the sick echo slams to win fights. Like, I'm just not good at hanging back long enough to make this. I'm the idiot who runs in and allows the EARTHSHAKER to hit the echo slam. I'm not the EARTHSHAKER player. But having watched the Mad Moon tournament, cast a little bit of it, and just seeing how prevalent this hero was, at least in the early stages, it really fits the roaming meta very well. It allows you to manipulate the creep wave in the off lane, which is super valuable right now because offlaners are kind of screwed without the shrine. You have kind of a return to like a creep manipulation, either dragging waves, cutting waves, holding the wave back on a hero like EARTHSHAKER or CLOCKWERK. It's back to shenanigans, and I think EARTHSHAKER functions really well in that kind of game because you can shenanigan the wave, go mid, get a kill, come back, shenanigan the wave, go mid, get a kill, show up bottom, maybe try lane early on. That's starting to come back too, and he can set up for kills early on there as well.
This is another thing that we're seeing with Tiny as well. A lot of pros are picking it. We will get to Tiny. I believe that'll be in the next video. Maybe this one. What tier do we put him in?
Yeah,
B tier. Okay, so we will quickly talk about him. But the reason that we're not putting Tiny in A tier, despite Tiny being picked so much in the pro scene, is because we basically think he's overrated. The win rate's really low. It's been nerfed so many times, but people are still picking it, and we're seeing the exact same thing with Tiny that's happening with EARTHSHAKER, except EARTHSHAKER's actually winning. And that's, like you said, shenaniganing the wave by pulling it with like boots and then going mid. And then with the wave and going mid. And most heroes are doing this, and that's the reason why Tusk also is, in CLOCKWERK, these heroes are coming back. It's because it's just a very roaming favorite meta, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. We've got Nyx, who can roam. He's better in the lane probably, but Nyx can roam, RUBICK can roam, Puck can roam, EARTHSHAKER or Spirit, EARTHSHAKER can roam, Clock can roam. Only WYVERN is like the non-roamer out of all of the heroes in S and A tier, really.
Yep. Speaking of WYVERN, I'm shocked that this hero hasn't been nerfed more because it's had a very solid win rate in pro level pubs and in pro games for a long time. It's always been picked as a 5. It's just one of the standard 5s that people always go back to, tried and true, just like Lich. You have this crazy team fight ability in the Winter's Curse. You're never going to be able to get out team fought if you have this ability on your team. You have the ability to save people with the Frozen Embrace, or whatever the hell it's called. You have ways to push out the wave with the W ability, and then the Q is one of the best lane abilities in the game for doing damage to heroes who have high HP, and also it's amazing for harassing in the laning stage, for running over trees and making it really hard for you to get killed, warding, dewarding, everything like that. This hero has an insane amount of utility, and now there are so many builds that you can go on him, or on her, I should say, because you have the ability to do damage during your own Winter's Curse. So if you pick up a Deso, if you pick up a Medallion and go for the damage talent, you can actually solo kill people without even using the Winter's Curse as a team fight ability. But then you can also go back to the tried and true WYVERN of the old build with Ether Lens, Blink Dagger, and that's still good as well. That didn't get nerfed. That's the same thing. So WYVERN is basically this hero that can do so many things, and it scales really well with levels and with items, and that's why she's an amazing 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit weird as a 4, personally, just because the cooldown on Arctic Burn is so long. I think that this hero is actually supposed to shove the lane at level 1 with Splinter Blast. I think that is probably the correct way to play. That's how I've seen a lot of pro players play the lane, is it's like WYVERN plus, I don't know, Mars or something like that, and it's like Spear, Splinter Blast the first wave.
Yeah.
And then they bring the wave back, and then they can lane kind of more passively, because this hero is definitely not the same kill potential in the laning stage as others.
Right, it's not like an Earth Spirit that's going to roll in and kill somebody. You kind of slowly chip away. Once you have some levels, you can zone them off the wave with your high levels and the W ability and the Q. But no, I agree, and I think that's a perfectly fair way of playing the lane. I think that pushing the lane has this negative association with it, just from 4 or 5 years ago, people play Dota and okay, keep the equilibrium right in front of the tower for the anti-mage. Those days are gone. It doesn't work like that. The equilibrium is going to be constantly bouncing back and forth if anybody on either side of the lane are any good in using the pulls and dewarding the camps that, by the way, remember, the camps couldn't get dewarded by a single sentry before. Yep. There wasn't a sentry limit. Like there's just so many things that have changed. And that's why basically pushing and pulling the lane is perfectly fine. So you just need to know how to play it. That's the thing, is as long as you know how to play these heroes, you're going to be fine.
Agreed. I did want to say that kind of what we have decided based on what we've seen in our games, and watching pro level pubs as well, is that the best fours fit into 2 categories. Either they roam or they're like game-winning team fighters, right? Like they're like game changers in the team fight sphere, or both potentially, if in the case of some of them.
Yep, I agree. Okay, CLOCKWERK. He's pretty game-winning in team fights. He's pretty game-winning when it comes to roaming. Strong laner. You do need to get the lane pulled back. Speaking of lane equilibrium, I really like your CLOCKWERK set, Donnie. It looks really cool.
Thanks, man.
But this hero, there's a few things about him. This is one of my favorite heroes. So I was, paying a lot of attention when it was getting buffed. Some of the things that I noticed were the fact that Hook now stuns for 1.5 seconds at level 1. And one of the annoying things before was that if you had brown boots and you hooked somebody and you wanted to cog them back, your hero would actually move too slowly to get in position to cog them back. And they would be able to like blink out if they're Queen of Pain or anti-mage, or they'd be able to BKB if they had a BKB or something like that. But now the hook stuns for long enough, and CLOCKWERK has increased move speed, which of course gives them plenty of other benefits. But now you can actually hook people, cog them back, and the cog disable duration has been increased, as well as the knockback distance. So this hero as a repositioner is significantly better than he was before. And on top of that, Battery Assault has always done a ton of damage. That hasn't changed, but now it has no cast point, which is insane. Remember when Leshrac had no cast point on Edict, and he was the best hero in Dota by far, like by a huge margin?
Because you can just keep running and then just press your button, and you just continue running. You don't have to stop or do anything else.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Everybody else has to stop, and then you just get on top of somebody, and all of a sudden you're on top of them forever, and they die unless they kill you. It's like me or you, you know? It's a duel.
How do you feel about this Ags, by the way? It seems very interesting in theory, but I haven't.
It's good.
I haven't seen it used to like the best of its ability yet.
I gotta say, I had the same thought when I first saw the Ags. Was like, okay, this seems like it could be garbage. Everybody pays attention to the attack speed, but nobody pays attention to the fact that this resets all of CLOCKWERK's abilities, and grants him bonus move speed, 40% move speed. Do you know? Like, you're just on top of people. You're such a menace in fights. And just being able to, like, cog twice, hook twice, battery assault twice, flare twice, it makes you a pain in the ass to deal with in team fights. It is absolutely absurd. So, yeah, it's very good. It's like a third, fourth item, but it's very strong. And don't go for some Daedalus or something. The attack speed is stupid. It's really about everything else that it does. It's a refresher for your abilities on a really low cooldown.
Yeah, that's legit. I also like this hero a lot. I think that going for, something like either boots first to be able to, manipulate the wave, whether you want to just drag it, you can also cogs it back. You can roam mid very easily. I see a lot of people picking up an Orb of Venom, and then you can just like straight up solo kill any support who's trying to contest pulls or stuff like that. And another really big thing that people are starting to realize now, and the best CLOCKWERKs, you'll see them do this, is you can actually get a reasonable amount of farm on this hero if you just are constantly like almost off cooldown rocket flaring the wave on the other side of the map. And like,
yeah, you push the deadline globally. That's got very high value to you and to your team as well. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the B tier heroes. We're gonna quickly cover these because there's a lot of them, and they're very middle of the pack. If there's any hero in here that you're really good at, I would basically say feel free to pick it. They're not bad. They're not good. They're just like the standard Dota 4, in my opinion.
Right.
And if you're good at it, it'll be good. So don't feel bad about picking any of these heroes. C tier, D tier, we'll get to that. But B tier, they're all pretty decent.
Yep. So Spirit Breaker, he's basically on this list just because he is one of the better roamers in the game. That meta's coming back. And he has BKB Piercing Disable. He has his issues, but he definitely does that one job extremely well and pairs pretty well with like a Life Stealer, for example.
Yep.
Tusk, kind of the same. Very good in the roaming meta. Lanes pretty well. BKB piercing disable. And I think the buffs on this hero are starting to trend in the right direction as opposed to just like kind of owning him.
It's been very good with certain heroes in the lane too.
Yep.
Like any right clickers, like Enchantress will destroy with the Tusk.
Yep. Tiny, we kind of talked about this already. This hero is one of the most valuable heroes in pro level pubs and the pro scene, and we both kind of feel like it's overrated. Like it seems to be being picked every game, but it's also losing a lot. And the main reason that's being picked and basically only played as a 4 is because of Toss repositioning people in the laning stage. Very good roamer, but after the laning stage, what does he contribute when compared to some of these other heroes? I don't know. Don't have an answer.
Bit of burst. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as much disable as before, unfortunately.
Yep. Pangalier's on here. Again, this is sort of like Earth Spirit category. If you're a super good Pangolier player, you can play it as a 4. It works quite well. Lucky Shot is nasty at trading and like getting kills as a 4, setting up for kills. And then he just has crazy team fight contribution, instant wave shove. You kind of play him as like a core, honestly, right? You're not really playing like a 4 Pangolier. You're just sort of playing like a core Pangolier.
Basically.
Yeah.
So if you wanna play a core, that's the hero for you. There's a few of them in here that are kind of played as cores.
Yep. Dark Willow, just tons of team fight. Not the greatest roamer, decent in the lanes in terms of harass, but you're picking this more because you're Dark Willow spammer and you want extra team fight, or you can pair it with something like a Mars or Puck. Like Coil with Terrorize on top of it is disgusting, and so it has its place, but it's definitely not like an every game hero. Disruptor, one of the best heroes from several patches ago, can still be played as a 5 or a 4. The 4 role is, you were saying, like you see a lot of CIS and what, Southeast Asian players?
Southeast Asia players, yeah.
Playing as a 4. And
not so much in NA, not so much in China.
Right, and it's more so just because, losing the gold talent is bad. Although it was kind of late, but you really want to get like Blink, Aether, Aghanim Scepter, that kind of stuff, and you can carry the game. He's almost like the new Enigma to some extent. Like if you can set up with this hero with an Aghanim Scepter, he's like completely game winning. So
in my opinion, the reason that he's B tier is just because he can be played as a 5 in the exact same way. That's a big reason for me. He's a good hero though.
Yep. Mirana coming back because of a couple of reasons. Sentry limit, sentry restock time being quite high. Very hard to deal with this hero with Moonlight Shadow, and the roaming meta favors a hero that can roam pretty well. Mirana is definitely one of those. This hero tends to be a bit core-esque as the 4 role, but the main reason that she's so high here is because we were looking at Tim's, TNC's position 4 player, and he's been owning with this hero. He basically just goes like Greaves 4-staff every game, sometimes Ags, and so it fits into the meta to some extent. What do you think about Elder Titan?
I think he's decent. If you pick up an Aghanim Scepter, he finally has a good Ags, and as a position 4, it's very reasonable to get an Ags. Basically gives him a BKB. You get the damage talent with the Astral Spirit, and man, I've seen this hero right-click for like 300. You just run in BKB for the Spirit duration. It's very difficult to deal with. I think this hero's underrated. This hero might actually be A tier. We'll see. It scales really well. It owns a lot of the current carries, like Morphling. But with that being said, the laning stage is something that can be abused because he does just kind of right-click you. And there are certain heroes that don't care about that. How are you going to right-click a Venomancer? How are you going to right-click a Lifestealer who can just sit in the lane and keep healing? These are just questions that I ask. I don't necessarily mean that it's a hard counter, but just punching people in the face is not necessarily going to win you every single lane.
Right. Speaking of punching people in the face, SKYWRATH Mage likes to do that with magic damage. You love this hero. I know it's one of your favorite 4s to pick, and it seems to work pretty well against these slippery heroes that are very popular. If you can get a quick Atos, or you have like a Legion Commander or one of these instant disables to set up your Mystic Flare with, it can work out pretty well to snowball.
Super punishable though, just like Elder Titan. Like certain heroes just don't care about it in the laning stage. Nakes and Anti-Mage are examples. It's a free game for both of those heroes if there's a Sky on the enemy team.
Yep. Wisp we have here because this hero is probably S tier But it also is kind of a 5. Like, it's mostly picked by 4 players, I feel like, but it's kind of a 5.
It's like a professional competitive hero.
Right.
For pubs, you have to be a Wisp player.
Yeah.
To play Wisp and make it S tier. With that being said, it's amazing, and if you want to learn it, it's absolutely worth it. It's always been worth it to learn Wisp.
Yeah.
But Wisp is back to being ridiculous because of the regen that it gives, because of the global presence, because of the ability to scale and be a right clicker yourself with the Dom build and the damage talent. There's tons of cool shit people are doing with this hero, probably mostly inspired by Ana at TI, but be wary because it is hard and it can look like griefing if you're not careful.
Yep. Slardar is here because this hero is kind of an S tier hero that can also be picked as a 4. It's probably not its best role. Probably could function in maybe 2 other roles better than a 4, but might as well be a 4 if it is available and you like have a free pick, right? Being able to sprint up the river allows you to roam pretty well, and you can trade in lane and just contribute without a whole lot of farm as well.
Sprinting up the river, in my opinion, is like the most underrated thing about Slardar. I think it's insane how you can pick up all the bounties on the map within like a minute because you can sprint up the river. It's crazy.
Yep. Lina has been kind of hovering around this for a long time as a 4. It's still one of the best trading heroes in the entire game in the 4 role. Makes it very hard for, these lifestealer type carries to just sit in lane and not get out harassed. Squishy, punishable, but definitely really good with like a kill combo if you have an off lane that can set up for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doom, you and I both believe that this hero is only here because of the frost armor creep.
Frost armor. Yep. You get the frost armor creep. Your offlaner's immortal. Yep. You have a Doom for the mid game. You take one guy out of the game. How could you possibly be useless on a hero that just picks one guy on the enemy team and takes them out?
And most likely it's their most farmed hero too, right?
Yeah.
It's like
not possible.
The ultimate counter to the enemy carry. I would say with frost armor, this is probably an A tier hero. Without frost armor, it's probably C or D tier.
Right. So you have to be careful of that random chance, of course.
Yep.
This hero is basically a combo hero. I think you need to be picking something that combos with the Inkswell. You need to be picking something that combos with the ultimate ability. Doom is a fantastic combo. Lich is a fantastic combo. The Q is good for pushing out waves, but the hero can feel pretty useless in the laning stage if you're not picking with combos.
Yeah.
That's the issue with Grimstroke.
Yep, and taking advantage of the ultimate combo as well. Like, it's really one of those heroes that you're looking to. It's kind of like Wisp in that regard, where you want to run it with a hero that's really good with it in the laning stage and beyond. So,
yep.
I would totally agree with that.